Good morning. Happy Thursday. So I watched the Jack Miller video he put out explaining what he was arrested for. Assuming arguendo. Well, first of all, some caveats. Number one, I have zero like for Jack Miller. I can't say I've mustered up enough emotional content about him to actually actively dislike him, but there is nothing redeeming that I've found about him to date. So I don't like him. I find most of what he does to be lacking in value. And he's an arrogant prick who doesn't deserve the amount of arrogance that he portrays. And it's a false bravado, which is kind of weird, but he seems like he's a very insecure person. This is just me being a psychoanalyst. He's a very insecure person trying to parade around as a very confident person. But anyway, so taking him at his word that the arrest warrant that he was arrested on a few days ago, taking him at his word that it was for harassment. I watched the video. It was an edited video, so, grain of salt, where he allegedly harassed the detective, Herrera, something like that. I don't remember her name. Anyway, also another caveat is I thoroughly despise mask laws, mask policies, mask regulations. I think Fauci's emails have borne out my original conclusions on them, that your bandana isn't going to stop a virus or even slow it down appreciably. But whatever. I mean, if you still believe, that's fine. You do you, boo. So anyway, Jack apparently went into a Walmart that was enforcing, not Walmart, a Sam's Club that was enforcing this particular policy of theirs to require customers to wear masks. And this detective, I don't remember her name exactly, so I'll just call her the detective, stopped him and enforced a house policy about masks. Now, is she going to get fired for having done that? No. I mean, she might get a stern talking to, but I doubt she's going to get fired over it. And I also seriously doubt that it's going to be any fines or days off or suspensions or anything like that. So she's enforcing this particular mask policy, and Jack turns into his usual asshole-ish self and tries to bully his way into getting what he wants. Now, I have never seen Jack successfully bully a cop, but he still tries it. So, I mean, kudos for perseverance. So anyway, he tries to bully her, and he calls her various names, and then she admits in front of a manager. He's claiming an exemption, asthma and PTSD, I believe, is what ultimately comes out. He claims an ADA exemption to wearing a mask. I'm butchering this. I'm not used to this anymore. So he claims an ADA exemption to the mask. He says he doesn't have to tell her, but apparently he does tell her because it's asthma and PTSD. So Jack folds like a cheap suit, apparently, but he slices that part out. Reminds me a lot of Earl David Warden, who's now rapist, who's now Houston, excuse me, slip of the tongue. It reminds me a lot of him editing out the parts where he IDs to the cops and things like that to make his videos spicier. But he admits that he IDs to cops, so I guess, whatever. So anyway, so Jack has apparently folded in this whole conversation, but then it's Jack outside wearing a mask like a good little cuck, trying to get back in the store because he wants to return stuff and buy new stuff and make an exchange. And, poor Jack. I'll comply with your rules. I'll comply. So anyway, this cop's standing in the doorway. The detective is standing in the doorway, not allowing him in. And then Jack launches into what I think is a psychological fantasy that he has because he went into some detail with some passion about exactly what he was going to do with her boots. He was very fascinated with her boots. And he also thought she looked good, apparently, getting out of her truck at some point in time at a prior encounter. But then he went on to fantasize in detail about what he wanted to do to her boots. And calls her a bitch. And then at the end, some guy's near there. And he's like, "You don't have to be here. I'm not gonna hurt her today," or something along those lines. A very vague threat. Not a legal threat. I mean, I don't think it was legally quantifiable as a threat, but it certainly was creepy and weird and off-putting, and I can't imagine why people don't like Jack. Actually, I can't imagine why people do like Jack. I can't imagine why people do like Jack. But anyway, I digress. So he's getting charged under 42.07 of the Texas Penal Code. Harassment. I think subsection A is what he's claiming, where basically if you communicate with someone and you start telling them obscene things, that you could be charged with harassment. Now, obscenity is a very vague term, and people always want to say things are obscene. And politicians like to make laws about obscene things because I think obscenity is kind of like art that, I couldn't tell you what art is, but I know it when I see it. I couldn't tell you what obscenity is, but I know it when I see it. Well, the law doesn't work that way. The law doesn't work based on what you think it is, on what the cop's subjective interpretation of what obscenity is. It works on what's called the Miller test, and that's from a Supreme Court case. And I don't remember the exact name of the case, but if you look up Miller test, I'm sure you'll find it. And it's a 3-prong test, and those 3 prongs are pretty straightforward. Basically, it's would the community where the obscenity is happening, where the obscene artwork, or the obscene work, or the obscene conduct is taking place, would that community find it to be prurient, appeal to prurient interests? Would they think it's obscene? So that's kind of a subjective portion. But like, say, for example, a gay pride parade with guys walking around with their genitalia out and wearing sexually suggestive outfits would probably not be considered obscene in, say, for example, San Francisco on at a gay pride parade. Whereas in perhaps a small town in Oklahoma where, it's a bunch of church-going folk who don't cotton to that kind of behavior, they might find it to be obscene. So that's kind of the subjective nature of the test. The second part is basically, does the statute actually specifically restrict this particular kind of obscene material? Does the artwork do what is specifically restricted against, or does the act, the conduct do what is specifically restricted? Specific actions, specific images, things like that are specifically identified in the statute. And that's where it gets kind of wonky, because no, it really doesn't. I mean, what Jack did might be considered to be obscene in that general area, might be considered by the public in that particular San Antonio area of Texas, Bexar County. Bexar, excuse me. I'm going to say Bexar. I know it's Bexar County, but I'm going to say Bexar because, I can. And it really pisses off Texans. Anyway, too many Californians are going to Texas anyway, right? Anyway, so does it appeal to pure interest? Probably yes. Maybe yes. I don't know. That one could go yes, but is what Jack did specifically described in the statute as being prohibited? And no, it's not. So that's bad for them trying to enforce it. The third part is basically, is there some sort of a political or artistic or some other interest that the artist is going for, and in this case, or the actor or the speaker, and in this case, at least he will make a argument, and I think he has a good argument, that he is actually making a political statement about bootlickers and things like that. I don't know who the bootlicker was in that particular situation. Maybe he's just thinking that she wants bootlickers. I'm not entirely sure. But bootlicking in cops is a political statement. So the third prong, I think, works in Jack's favor as well. So 2 out of the 3 prongs go towards Jack. So I am not really seeing exactly where the judge who issued, or the magistrate, whoever it was, who issued the warrant. I don't see what probable cause they're seeing, and I certainly don't see what probable cause the police officer saw. I don't think there's any exposure, any civil exposure from the cops, since they did get a warrant from the unless they lied, and I don't know if they lied or not on the warrant. They might have called it obscene and sexual behavior and things like that, but that might be just their opinion. But anyway, I don't think they have any civil liability. I don't think he's got a good shot at any sort of action against. It doesn't have to be a federal cause of action. I don't think he has a cause of action, a sustainable cause of action against the cops that he's going to win on. So I do think it was a contempt of cop citation, contempt of cop arrest, contempt of cop warrant. And but that doesn't make Jack a good person by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying that I don't think he's going to be convicted of what they are alleging, of the crime that they're alleging he committed. So, don't think I'm defending Jack. I'm not defending Jack. I'm saying what the cops did is they're probably not going to win on. I don't know that a DA is going to pursue it, and Jack should definitely resist it by getting his own attorney and not plead guilty or anything like that, because it's a pretty bullshit charge. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.